And the thing about community is they'll do it. Everybody has an adoption rate. So sometimes they'll get on and they'll get really active. Sometimes they'll get on and they'll listen for 2 months before they ever say a word.
Yeah.
You know, the art of it is how can you accelerate their involvement? Because once they engage, like it's kind of like getting skin in the game, and they'll refer people, they'll bring value. Realistically, that's the name of the game.
Yep.
Getting people to bring valuable, even a good question is valuable.
Right.
Because most of the people are probably thinking it's just nobody asked it.
Mike Calhoun, Board of Advisors, and we're here on the San Juan Social Club cruise, guys, which you should come with us next year. We'll put a link in the description for that, but it's been phenomenal. We're meeting incredible people. I watched you speak, Mike, and why don't you introduce yourself?
Normally I don't do these things.
You don't go up on stage, or you?
Well, no, I don't go on the cruises. You don't go to a lot of events. I'm pretty head down, pretty focused.
Yep.
But I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I think Captain Lou, Davin, very well organized, but also enough free time to be able to mix and mingle in the way that, like, because there's a lot of owner founders on here.
Yeah.
They want to do what they want to do. So the meetup aspect, because we've been doing very high level events, week-long events at a time for a decade now.
Wow.
And that meetup aspect where you've got your communication channel and then you've got certain topics and leaders are, you know, kind of marketing themselves for a conversation, but it's super collaborative. I thought that was, especially for this platform, a very productive use of time.
Yeah. So, and then when you do these live meetups, you're encouraging people to do business together. It's like a mastermind, or?
Yeah, we're probably one of the most intent-driven and synergy-driven platform. Like you guys like to call it a mastermind. We're really the actual official Board of Advisors of America. So we have our own technology, our own team. We take it extreme. There's a process that gets a result. So if I know you and I know what you're looking for, I know what strengths you bring to the table. We call it value. So what value you bring to the table, years of experience, areas of expertise, your team, your process, maybe you have some tech, maybe you have an amazing Rolodex, a community of wonderful folks like this. All of that is value that presents opportunity for a synergy with somebody else, and they're going to bring that to you. So we actually articulate that and inventory that on our platform. So if you were to meet, say, one of these individuals listening to us right now, and it was your first time, very quickly you would be able to assemble where the value is in the relationship. You would see their competencies, how long they've been doing it, what are the pieces of their pie, years of, like, maybe they've done other things in other industries. Quick, you know, because we're all deal makers. Like, owners are deal makers. They just are, because they're looking for what's the highest, you know, leverage on their time. So they get a little commercial. We understand what they want to work on. Most of them can't articulate it very well, so we just kind of ask them in the interview, what's their vision? Where are they trying to go? If they can get that out of their mouth, it usually gives us a pretty good understanding of the gap, you know, and then we can start asking some good questions. And then, so from a technology side and a team side, beginning to pair people with, like, if you're trying to build potentially the best community of investors on YouTube, well, it's not hard. You just need to know the right people so you're not starting from scratch. So we start making those intros right off the platform.
Right.
And then if you need help getting them on the calendar, we'll help you get it on the calendar. But the thing that's different about, I would say, us is we're always investing in our member. So anytime that is executed, if you receive something and they receive something, they know it's coming.
They know it came through this.
From there was a trigger that brought this together. It wasn't just like trying to keep people busy and put a call in the calendar. Like, there's something there.
How big are these meetups that you're doing?
So this is about 200 owner, founder, decision makers coming in, either their spouse, they can add their spouse, they can add a key man or key person. So maybe their CMO, CFO, assistant, whatever. So it's 3 heads per entity. Every quarter we'll do a 5-day. So we'll bring them through an entire experience where there's like 6 different formats, but they'll go before the board. So each owner, founder, CEO, investor, chairperson, they are now an advisor on the board for very, like almost like we're publishing you. We have a magazine, we publish you as a competency of how do you move to Puerto Rico, develop a real estate business, get into the hospitality side of things, earn 50%, 45% rebates on all of your activity. Like you have a specialized set of skills that they need to know about because there's a demographic there that knows people that are considering that, or maybe they've considered that, and maybe they haven't moved on it because they don't have clarity. Like there's a lot that people bring to the table. We just have to show them how to be valuable,
Yeah.
without it costing them time or like a dime. Nobody wants to invest in being in a community, and then every time they turn around, they're bleeding on time or outlaying cash. So we have to show them what is the value, why is it so valuable, and how do they give it, how do they exchange between each other quickly? Because all of what we just talked about, you've already done. All of your experience is your experience because you've already done it.
I've also bled.
Yeah.
The,
But the pain is the profit.
Yeah.
Because all of the stuff, all the scars, right? That's where you're valuable to somebody else because you're saving them.
Yeah.
But it also means you went through the fire to get to the solution. So not only can you protect them, you can promote them into what actually works. Because it's one thing to like go to school and learn something, but we all know that it doesn't work like that in the real world.
Right. Right. And so that's what you just described is what we're trying to do through our community, right? We want to bring people into a community of like-minded individuals who are ready to step out and become real estate investors.
And the fact of the matter is they identify with you
Sure.
because in a sense you're leading the conversation. There's an affinity there. They like your style. Like I watched you watched me, but I watched you on your talk. It's you're not selling, you're involving.
Yeah.
You're educating. You're just kind of easy, easy to be around, easy to listen to. You aren't shoving anything down anybody's throat. You're really actually kind of exposing them to something cool that you've experienced and found out by, exploring the San Juan lifestyle, right? And it makes it easy to get on and listen or get involved. And the thing about community is they'll do it. Everybody has an adoption rate. So sometimes they'll get on and they'll get really active. Sometimes they'll get on and they'll listen for 2 months before they ever say a word.
Yeah.
The art of it is how can you accelerate their involvement? Because once they engage, like it's kind of like getting skin in the game, and they'll refer people, they'll bring value. Realistically, that's the name of the game.
Yep.
Getting people to bring valuable, even a good question is valuable.
Right.
Because most of the people are probably thinking it's just nobody asked it.
Right. No, that's right. And it takes one person to ask the question. We can shoot
Yeah.
content about that. It's amazing how that
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
So, and that happens to us quite often. We understand that people are attracted to us through YouTube or wherever we're at speaking. Our community, we don't just need them to come to do deals with us or come to, jump on what we're doing. We're going to do what we're going to do. We want to facilitate, I think very similar to what you're offering, and maybe you could teach us a lot about what we are already trying to live into. We want to facilitate more things happening inside the community. And if we're not involved, that's great. If we are involved, that's great. But
Well, and we were talking before this, conversation that's being recorded here, the marketability of what you're doing. So what is the community called?
the Flip Flop Flipper.
The Flip Flop Flipper. So you actually have a cool brand. I saw that on the slides.
Yeah.
You have a cool brand. A lot of people don't really take the time to create a memorable name that associates with what they're doing. They may call it, ABC Holdings, or like if they can give it something that makes people want to favorite it, subscribe it, be involved in it, maybe be interviewed on it. Like one of the reasons we invest in, boardofadvisors.com is it is a brand that credibility precedes us. Because if you go on Google, well, I mean now we pop up, but if you go on Google, it's like Forbes and Inc. and Entrepreneur and all these very well-known brands articulating why it's so valuable. Like they're selling it for us.
Sure.
Why is it so valuable? Here's how you create one. Here's why you need one. Here's the difference of a board of advisors and a board of directors. Like creating something that is relevant to what you're doing, but that people want to be involved in, they engage quicker and they feel like they have status with you.
Yeah.
So if you're the flip-flop flipper and you got a guy, and you're in San Juan and you've got a guy in California or Florida or whatever, and maybe their whole style is like how to, they wear flip-flops and shorts every day and they're just not that suit guy anymore because they've been that thing. Before you know it, that's your guy, that's your girl.
Yeah.
Because you have a shared thesis on how you operate, and it's like there's gravity there that begins to work for you. If you don't create some sort of wrapper to a community, a product, a service, like it's really hard for people to understand what the heck you're doing. Why would they get involved? Like it's just you're almost your own worst enemy.
So we just kind of put it out there what we're doing, right? Like I show people what I do, not trying to sell anybody on a system or, hey, do it my way. I don't care what
That's
way
what I
you
say.
do
You are
it.
very natural. You're just real. See, the easy part is when you're really doing something, it makes it easy because you're really doing it.
Yeah.
The problem is even if there's people listening that are trying to, maybe they like you and they want to be like you, but they're still starting from scratch. So in their mind, they're an imposter or they're not there yet,
Right.
Like I haven't bought a property. I don't know what he knows. I've never done a transaction. All that stuff starts creeping into their head. So, well, what do I call it? If I've never done anything, what do I call it? Who am I? They get this paralyzation of analyzation, right? If
Analysis paralysis,
Yeah.
right?
So if they can just focus on what do they want to achieve, getting them to focus on what is the outcome, what are they trying to achieve, how can they see that path, right? One of my guys does culture development, and they focus on questions. How do they get people to understand? Because see, even if you don't have a culture, you have a culture. The lack of culture is still culture. So what are great questions that you can ask to the members, and what are great questions they can ask to themselves or to each other?
Right.
Because that great questions provoke better questions provoke great answers, right? There's always somebody in this mix here that's going to have had some experience. You're not the guy that has to know everything,
Right.
and you don't even want to,
Right.
Because you really want to promote your people and put them on a platform, give them a moment to share their experience, because then you're kind of infinite on resources
Yeah.
and capability. So what do you think is probably the or is it a lot of first-time people? Is it a lot of experienced people? What do you think that
We
looks
have a
like?
pretty healthy mix, right? But there is probably a lot of people who are trying to get started or are thinking about making a move. They don't like their job and they, have been telling themselves that they'd like to do something else, but they just keep getting up and going to that job that they hate. So we've got a group where we're trying to change mindsets and encouraging them to come in and network with a group and find a business partner, bring a deal to the table. And then there are other people that are further advanced that are in the group that are like, great, bring me deals. I've got money. So our group is pretty diverse. I mean, basically we invited our Rolodex of people that were doing stuff, right?
okay.
Like, so I'm buying real estate in Puerto Rico and I'm going to do it whether someone who watches this comes alongside of me or not. I'm also going to partner with somebody on damn near everything I ever do. And so we just brought our Rolodex and let our lawyers and our people who are closing properties or our realtors come into the group. They're going to do what they're going to do, and the group can come and network together. A bunch of like-minded people that can do
So,
stuff together, right?
Like, what would be a really cool visualization, which would maybe even be like the roadmap to the culture of the flip-flop flipper, right? So if you were sitting on a beach somewhere and you were just kind of articulating in the sand, what is the roadmap of all the high points? Like, in order to do real estate, you're going to have to probably have some money for a transaction. You're probably going to have some real estate. Like, what are the pieces?
Right.
And then as you go through the journey, like, what do you usually encounter first? Because you kind of got to find a deal.
Deal
in order-
first, we
Yeah.
say that all the
Yeah.
time.
And then you got to find, like, how do you qualify it? And then, who's going to be involved, whether it's the buyer, the facilitating parties. So you have these pieces. If you can just get everybody to see the pieces, then you're going to ask them, like, what piece? Because some people love to go find the deal.
Yeah.
It's like hunting, Easter egg hunting, finding the deal.
Yep.
And the buy is like, some people like to negotiate. Some people want to be the money side of it. So you just
Yeah, others want to operate or renovate. I mean, there's 10 different ways to go in this.
Yeah, and the more they can see kind of the big pieces to the puzzle, and then the more they can identify, that's kind of my personality. And because what'll happen is somebody will promote, you don't want to do all that work, you just want to do the transaction. Or you don't want to do the transaction because you're only making this, and you could make the entire spread, the margin. You can create your margin if you're in control of the. Everybody's got their angle.
Everybody's got an angle, right?
So just you're gonna touch all of it at some point. If they can see all the pieces without getting overloaded on specificity and granular attributes, then they can go, you know what, I wouldn't mind finding one, or I wouldn't mind just being the guy that helps the transaction go down. Like, they'll start to resonate, and then they can start moving forward because they kind of feel like, okay, I see where I could play
I have
best.
a role.
I have a role. And then
What's
they can
your
create
role,
brand.
by the way? Leave a comment. Let us know. What's your role here? Are you a finder? You're the money? Put it in there. Do you have a skill set that you can fix stuff? Man, you've got a role.
I mean, even just the negotiating part.
If you negotiate, great. Yeah.
Somebody can find all the deals, suck at negotiate, because the deal is actually made on. That's why it's a deal, right?
Yeah.
Negotiating the right deal so that it's a win, and understanding the party on the other side, right? Then they can start wrapping a brand, a name around what it is they're doing. You did something that's, you could do it in California, you could do it in Florida, you could do it in. It's not, you didn't regionally base it based on the brand, but maybe they want to. Maybe that's, a sweet spot for them. But as soon as they get their name and brand around it, now it's like they just grew another face.
Yeah.
Right? They want to go show it off. They want to talk about it, they want to show it off, they want to get social media accounts around it, they want to get a website. It's their thing. It's like, for me with, say, BA, I wear a hat or a shirt or something I forget I even have it on. But everybody knows, some people don't even know what it stands for. What is BA? They go, oh, well, is that badass? No. But it's a mark. It's called a mark, and they get really kind of passionate about it. It becomes a little bit of part of them, and then that's when they have that ownership, and stuff starts to work because they're pushing that thing they believe in. Because sometimes they'll doubt themselves until they get a little moment. You get a deal
latch
under your
on
belt.
to BA, they latch on to Board of Advisors, and it becomes part of their identity.
Well, here's why. Just think about it. You could probably talk about your buddy sometimes better than you can talk about yourself.
Sure.
Or you might work harder for your buddy on a project than you might work for yourself.
Just ask my wife.
So yeah, so sometimes when you have that thing that's not you, because it's hard to see yourself, right?
Right.
Like, I don't really look at the back of my head that often. So it's easier to see that thing you're creating it and shape it once it's in front of you. And if they can get to that point, it'll take a life of its own.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, so I was the flip-flop flipper for 20 years before I became the flip-flop flipper. My wife branded it once we were in Puerto Rico, and we had a YouTube channel going already.
You've been doing this for a while, though.
I've been doing it for 27 years.
Yeah, because I've heard of you a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, well,
I was
that's
like, damn it, I wanted that name. That was a good name. Then I didn't go flip anything because I felt like why compete with the best? I almost
I
applied.
think it's a good brand. My wife likes
I
it.
almost applied, though. You just didn't have any openings available.
You got a pair of flip-flops and a fishing shirt, you're in the club.
Done.
If you like real estate, you're really in the fold.
Yeah.
You're with us. You're part of the group.
Real estate's the best thing to be in, really. I mean, you can almost, if you get entrenched enough, you can almost print money in one way or the other. And then when the project's all done,
Yeah.
what I love about you is the project's all done. You've bought it, you've made the spread, you've done the financing, you've done the points, all the other stuff, all the service providers got it. Oh wait, so now we get these rebates back from the government based on your strategies here in Puerto Rico. But like it just continue. Oh, then you have your cost seg. Like you have so many levers to pull, financial levers,
Yes.
that it's almost, if the world or market changes, you can adjust, right?
And that's been our story. We're doing something new about every 5 years. So for 25 years, every 5 years, whatever we were doing 5 years ago, we'll still do it, but we've added a new thing, and that's
Well, and the big thing on top of this is like you're even moving into education.
yeah,
How do you do it? And then the layer on top of that is community. That's what this is right here. So
right.
you're
This is
building community
right.
that then consumes education, that then becomes a micro version of you, but then they start to bring you opportunity deal flow because they trust you,
Yeah.
right? So before they make a move, sometimes they want to cross check with you or your team. Is this the move I should make? Before I sign this deal, before I wire this money.
It sounds
Right.
like you've been a part
Yeah.
of our group.
Well, I've done a few.
Gonna deal it too.
Yeah. Well, we've done a lot of transactions. I mean, one of our first business, I went to school for tech, but then we got into real estate. Then we ended up building some real estate tech. So we were the first web-based, user-based version of a short sale processing engine. Landed us out in Silicon Valley, SAP, Oracle, were kind of pretty interested in us. But like it was a single family style transaction many times, a lot of negotiation, a lot of paperwork. Had to produce an auditable file, put it on a decision maker's desk, back it up with an REO market analysis. So if they don't take the short sale, they're going to end up with an REO that's probably going to be worth less. Like you got to go think for everybody,
Yep.
and then document it, and then make it as easy to consume as possible so they can say yes to it. Because, I mean, that was back in the day when they didn't have any tech.
Right.
Like we were using fax machines with barcodes on them. So if they want to submit their statement, they were putting it through a fax with a barcode cover page.
It's amazing
get
how
it-
technology has changed.
Oh.
Huh? Holy mackerel.
You could take a picture with your phone and it just see it.
So, what would you say to someone out there who's trying to make a change in their life, wants to become an entrepreneur, maybe
Well,
wants to
I would
become a
start
real
with
estate
this.
investor?
One thing we do in our community is we do what's called a referral party. Here's why we do it, because it provokes people to throw their challenges on the board. They don't see it as a challenge. They go, "Oh, I need somebody for this," or I need a lender. I need a list. To go. Where are you getting your data? They start. It just tells you everything, because if you say, "Well, what do you need help with most?" Oh, well, I don't know, because they kind of brainwash themselves into, everything's okay. I've got it all figured out. I'm trying to, because they're soothing, they're self-soothing. But if you just say, like, do you need any referrals? Is there anybody need money, or do you want data for deal flow, and you just start letting them talk about what type of referral they need, and people start firing stuff. I mean, you have to almost cut the shit at a certain point. Like, guys, gotta go. It's been 2 hours. It just builds quickly, and what you'll find is it'll give you all the data you need for your community, because community development is obviously bringing more people in. I mean, their job is to invite great people into the community, because it's not for you, and it's sometimes not even for them. If everybody did that just once, how many calls do you do? Like a month?
How many calls do we do? A call a week.
A call a
Or
week.
We do a class a week, a master class a week.
So there's
2.
somebody that they trip across that week. Trust me.
Right.
And everybody has this weird itch to be a real estate person. So, I'm going to be on my call. You should come to. See this. They should be calling this their call. You should come to my call. What day is it?
Thursday night.
You should come to my call on Thursday night. It's just a bunch of flipper dudes. Just make it feel casual. But we've got some cool stuff going on. You can join in. You can hear the entire conversation. Do it from the car. Do it from the back porch. Whatever. But they should be recommending. That should be like, if you're going to be here,
Bring your friends.
Well, we're
bring
not
your-
going to charge you $1,000 a month. We're going to charge you,
Yeah.
$199 or something.
We
Whatever
charge $97 a month. I mean, it's practically free.
Yeah, but the deal is
Yeah.
not going to charge you that much because we have an organization to run, but we're going to do a handshake where you're going to bring the best people in your world that we can help, but also they might be able to help somebody in our community.
Right.
Like that's a handshake deal.
Yep.
That's the culture of like real estate is probably the most deal rich environment
Right.
of any business because
Right.
every deal is a little bit different. So you have to make a deal.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I would just say, like, get everybody referring, get them inviting, and the understanding of when they invite somebody to the community, they're not doing it for you, they're not doing it for themselves, they're doing it for everyone else.
Yeah.
Right? Because if everybody does that, somebody is going to receive exactly, and people say it about our organization all the time, like every quarter I show up and it's like that one person that I thought I would never, I've been here for 6 years. I don't know if I was going to renew. Then I meet, I show up to the next quarter and I meet the exact person that I need.
Yeah. So
But because somebody else made an introduction, made a referral, it's really hard to find great people. So if you're all making the invite, then you grow and they grow. You can't grow if they're not growing. You can't grow.
That's right.
And vice versa.
That's right. And that's what you're describing the community we want,
Yeah,
right?
don't be a wussy.
That's the heart. We
Go invite some
want to
great
see
people.
people doing things together. We network together, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. We're going to do deals together. And we see it already. We're brand new at this, right? Building this community stuff. But as the community grows and gets bigger and bigger, we're going to do more and more and more. And the fun just keeps going.
What's your favorite flip flop?
By
By the way, I caught him not wearing flip flops.
Olas.
Okay, that's the favorite.
That's my favorite right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but they change quite often. So I used to, when I drank beer, I had one with a little bottle opener on the bottom of the thing, and that was my favorite because I could pop the beer, but I don't drink anymore, so I don't need those.
Well, do something where they can, what we do. So we have our own magazine too. Like we'll interview you for the magazine, but like they need to feel something. Maybe they get a pair of flip flops, or what we used to do is we would mail video mailers because you can buy like a cheap pair of flip flops or have them even paraphernalia from the guys that make shirts and they put the brands on them
Sure.
and the hats or whatever. So you could get flip flops. It could be the cheapest version, but the fact that it has your name on it.
Who wants a flip-flop flipper pair of flip-flops?
But it's an invite to the meeting, right?
Yeah.
And just say like, look, at the end of the day, take your shoes off, take your socks off, grab a beer, tea, whatever, throw your flip-flops on, right? Let the breeze blow. Community meets at 8:00 on a Thursday, and jump on with us. That's
Yeah.
the invite,
Right.
right? Because when you get a referral and they get something in their inbox, like their mailbox, it's a very high leverage strategy to get them to actually show up. Because nobody sends anybody anything these days. They send them an email, but people don't value an email. You could write the best email ever. They don't care.
Yeah,
because they get a million emails
That's
from
right.
from brands with bigger budgets than you. You send them the crappiest pair of flip-flops with your brand on it that has like when you meet, time, date, maybe URL just stamped into the bottom of it or something, so they can go click the link, and you should just put it on their calendar. So if it goes to the calendar invite, now it's on their calendar, they can pick when they want to show up or not, and you're not beating up their inbox. It's just always there, and they can elect to be there or not. Yeah, and everybody has stuff that they watch. I mean, like they monitor. If they like you, they're going to keep an eye on what you're doing,
Yeah.
and they're not going to check out, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think even the ones who don't like us check out what we're doing. They want to see what we're going to do next, and then they can bitch about it. But
what do you think the thing is they love about you guys most?
what do I think that the people who are watching this? I think that we are very inviting. We're very optimistic. I believe that anybody who watches us could do what we're doing, and we're providing a platform for them to come alongside of us, maybe partner with us, but at least give them the courage to step outside of the box, think a little differently.
How far away are all of your properties from each other?
Ah,
Are they like if you wanted to take a tour, could you?
yeah. So we do meetups, we do tours on the island.
Yeah.
We'll do tours in Florida. So we've got a portfolio in Florida. We've got a portfolio in Puerto Rico, and we've already done some meetups. We did an impromptu one a couple weeks ago where we were just like, hey, we're going here, guys. Come alongside. Come if you want to come. And then we kind of carpooled around. We did a more formal one where we rented a Greyhound. We thought we would have a couple people show up and do that, and 45 people showed up, so we filled a bus and
You
took
want me,
them
to, you
around
want me to
town.
give you one last thing?
Sure.
A golden nugget.
I like golden nuggets.
So everybody will show up if they get a voice. If you give them a moment to say something, so that when they all arrive, my name's Jim. I've been an accountant for 32 years. I'm over it. I want to do what flip-flop guy's doing, but I have no idea what I'm doing. So if any of you guys are pros, just help me,
Yeah.
or whatever they want to say.
Right.
If they all get a voice, they will show faster, they will show more often, and they will also get to bring more people. People want to be heard, they want to have a voice. In that mix of a tour, tours are great because it allows them to put their
Yeah.
hand on the product,
Yeah.
and it makes you real.
We actually handed the microphone to everybody on the bus and had them introduce themselves.
Yes,
Tell people what they're interested in. Yeah.
yes.
So when is your next meetup then that
So
I could come to?
So a couple things about Board of Advisors. What we realized is we're either before, during, or after some sort of a live event where everybody's coming in. We call it a board meeting, obviously, Board of Advisors, right? So we kind of just morphed into a full-time operation. So everything we do before a meeting makes a meeting a tipping point experience. So let's just say you're like, Mike, I'm in, I'm going to give you a shot. Before you get to that meeting, you're probably going to meet another dozen, 15 of the right folks who can help you build the community. Maybe they want to invest. I mean, I was even Dave Steck today. I was like, I liked him. We were talking about you a little bit. Bringing and advocating for a member and getting you engaging with those that are most valuable to you before you ever even get there. So the team will interview you, will profile you, will get you on the platform, will drive synergies right into your inbox, get you on the calendar, create those conversations. So you actually have relationships moving before you get there. Then you actually become part of the agenda. So there are 0 speakers. We don't hire speakers. I don't even need speakers.
Right.
I have you and a lot of you. So giving you the opportunity to be on the actual agenda. It's a 5-day. We start at noon on Monday to noon on Friday. And we write a format of about 5 or 6 different variants of the day. And then it's you guys are lead. It's members leading members, or we call it advisors, right? And you're known for a thing. And we actually publish you and kind of promote you for those competencies. And it's wild. During that 5 day, 5 days sounds like a long time.
Yeah.
You blink and it's over. Like literally, we've been on this thing. I feel like I live here now. We've been on it 6 days. I feel like how long?
This trip, yeah.
I almost forgot what home looks like. But it blisters by, and then you end up kind of having this residual effect that lasts between the meetings. So going back to our full-time operation, we as an executive team and the technology side, you may need anything. The team will either, if it's on the platform, we'll go get it. If it's not, many times, if we go find that, it brings us a new member as well, right? So just really investing in our advisor member is what makes the advisor member want to refer their best relationships. Because they're like, it's not an event. It really is a community, like what you're doing here.
Yeah.
It really is a community, and it's a real world community, like eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly. There is a relationship with this person. Like you got to touch them, see them, feel them, watch them in action. You get a guy up there doing 100 million and he's telling you how he screwed everything up and how he totally failed. That's not normally the conversation he's having. You're bonding with these very influential, capable individuals, but on a level where they're kind of asking you for help too, or insights. So it's like the best way, instead of everybody pounding on their chest, it's like, look, no matter what I'm doing out there that's cool, we all have issues. We all have problems, even if it's growth pains. How do we help each other?
Right.
So we've built that culture of value and contribution.
So are you guys talking best practice? Are you, how is the group living into each other's business?
The
and
format
lives?
will drive that.
Okay.
So let's just say you go before the board. You may have an initiative, you may have a new property you're trying to take down, you might be raising capital, you may have a huge legal issue that just popped up. You know, you could have had a flood take out your office and you're starting from whatever it is, doesn't matter. You're going before the board. So you have to articulate what you're working on, and they'll go back and forth with you. The advisor audience will get involved. Like, that format has an outcome and a process. Then you have keynotes, like you gave a great keynote here. A keynote is more of a full kind of cradle to grave. You showed properties that you found, acquired, you worked them, morphed them into a new type of product, and now it's in the portfolio and it's performing and you're getting your rebate. Like, it's a full,
Right.
that's a story, that's a case study. That's a keynote, right? You have forums, which are focused on the individual, and you have masterminds that are focused on a business context. Like, for example, crypto. Somebody goes, "Oh, am I missing out on crypto?" You know, you're a real estate guy. Maybe you never bought crypto, but you're interested, so you want to sit in that format. You might not lead it because you're not the expert on it,
Right.
but you want to know about it. So everybody kind of pieces into a format to get a certain outcome, whether it's solving a problem for you, promoting you, getting your knowledge increased on something. Even the forum gives a very human element to you as the CEO and founder, because many times you're just like, dude, I feel fat. Like, I just don't feel healthy because I'm working my ass off, right? Sometimes you just need to be like a human for a second, and we even give, but the other side of that is, like, sometimes you don't even think your wife understands, because these guys are busy, guys and girls are busy, and they go home and it's like, there's no way anyone understands the stress on me, not even my spouse. There's no way she or he understands this, because they're just not in it, and I don't even want to talk about it. But if you see the guy doing 5 times what you're doing with 6 times the number of employees, you're like, well, that guy probably gets it. You know what I mean? There's a
Yeah, he might understand. Sure.
matter of fact, he
Yeah.
can probably help me too.
Right.
Right? And it's really powerful when a guy or girl like that says, look, don't worry about that. Just do this. You're like, yeah, really? Okay. Because you trust the person coming from really where you're trying to go. They just already did it.
Right. All right. So when's the
4
next
times.
meetup?
4 times a year.
4 times a year.
Right.
All right.
We do beginning of February, May, beginning of May, beginning of August, beginning of November, normally.
So you got something coming up in May in Texas,
12th through the 16th.
in Dallas.
Yep. If they want to get an invite, they can go to bainvite.com.
Okay. Yep.
And then we're going to arm wrestle right now, I guess, for yours.
We're going to arm wrestle for it. Let's do it.
Well,
We'll arm wrestle.
not
with this
that
arm.
arm, though.
No, not this arm. We'll do this arm.
This one. You're right-handed?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I'm going to lose. Look at this guy. So our main URL is boardofadvisors.com, believe it or not. If you want to get an invite to a meeting, you can go to bainvite.com. And then if you just want to jump on a call with me, callwithmike.com.
Callwithmike.com.
Super easy.
Mike, thanks for
Yeah,
coming
Mike.
in and sitting with us,
Yeah,
man.
for
That's
sure.
great.